For more than 6 decades, he was just a mystery. A face on a poster, known only as the boy in the box.
I mean, look at this poster. This case absolutely haunted Philadelphia and really the whole country. It became one of America's longest, most heartbreaking unsolved mysteries.
For 65 long years, he didn't have a name. Investigators, they tried everything. They followed every single lead, but nothing. His identity just remained a complete mystery, locked in silence. But now he does. After all that time, he has a name. Joseph Augustus Zarelli. And today, thanks to some absolutely incredible scientific breakthroughs, we can finally start to tell his story.
So to really get how big of a deal this breakthrough is, we have to go all the way back to the beginning, to a pretty grim discovery in a wooded part of Philadelphia.
So let's set the scene. It's the winter of 1957, and it all starts with a seemingly ordinary event, a bassinet being sold in a J.C. Penney box. But just a couple of months later, that same box becomes the center of a discovery that would baffle investigators for generations to come.
And here it is. The boy was found just off Susquehanna Road, wrapped up in a cheap flannel blanket inside that cardboard carton. It was actually a college student who stumbled upon the scene, apparently while he was chasing a rabbit into the brush.
You know, the scene itself was just a puzzle of contradictions. On one hand, it seemed like someone had cared for him in some ways. He was clean, his nails were trimmed, but then his body showed these clear signs of horrific abuse and malnourishment. And his hair, it had been given this crude, hurried cut, with clumps of it still on his body. It suggested it happened right before, or maybe even after he died.
The police launched a massive investigation, I mean immediately. But for decades, literally every single path they took just led to another dead end. Just think about this number. 400,000. That's how many posters police printed with the boy's image. They put them in gas bills, handed them out all over the city, and yet nobody came forward. Not one person claimed this child.
And oh, there were theories, lots of them. There was a mysterious woman known only as M who claimed her mother had bought and killed the boy. They looked into a nearby foster home. They exhausted every lead. They even exhumed his body back in 1998 to get DNA, but the technology just wasn't there yet, so the case went cold. His original grave marker really says it all, doesn't it? It just captured the heartbreaking reality of this situation. He was a child known only to God. Later on, in 1998, he was reburied with a new headstone that read, America's Unknown Child. Honestly, the case seemed pretty hopeless. That is, until a completely revolutionary technology came along and gave investigators a whole new set of tools to work with. Okay, so here's the game changer. This new method, forensic genetic genealogy, isn't about finding a perfect match in some police database. No. This is way more powerful. It looks at thousands of DNA markers, which allows scientists to find relatives, we're talking cousins, even distant cousins, who've uploaded their own DNA to public sites like Ancestry or 23andMe. And man, this process was painstaking. They exhumed him a second time in 2019, and then it took 2.5 years just to build a usable DNA profile from these really degraded samples. But then they got a hit, a distant cousin. And from that one single thread, genealogists just worked night and day, building out an entire family tree, branch by branch, until it finally led them to one name. I love this quote from one of the forensic scientists. She called it a big Sudoku puzzle. And that's the perfect analogy, right? It's not about one single clue. It's about using this whole web of interconnected family relationships to fill in all the blanks and finally reveal the missing person at the very center. And after 65 years, after being America's unknown child for so long, he was finally known. He was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. He lived in West Philly, and here's the really tragic part. He had a family. His parents are gone now, but he has siblings who are still alive. So, giving him his name back, that's a monumental breakthrough. But it is definitely not the end of this story. Now that his identity is confirmed, you have to wonder, right? What happens next in the pursuit of justice for Joseph? Well, the case is anything but closed. Giving Joseph his name back was the first and arguably the most critical step. Now the focus shifts completely to the homicide investigation, to finding out who was responsible for his death. And police have said they have their suspicions, but for now, it's still a very active criminal case. And the impact of this breakthrough goes way beyond just this one case.
The exact same technology and techniques they used here, they're already being used on more than a dozen other unidentified persons cases in Philadelphia alone.
So this single case, Joseph's case, it provides a new blueprint and a whole new sense of hope for countless other victims. One official even said their goal is that there will never be another unidentified homicide victim in the city of Philadelphia. A bold goal, but now maybe an achievable one.
When you think about it, solving this decades-long mystery really reminds us that behind every single cold case file, behind every unnamed victim, there's a real person. A person with a story, just waiting for their name to be spoken again.